My name is Michael Thompson, and I'm 40 years old. I've lived in Austin, Texas for most of my life. I work as a software developer for a tech company downtown. My wife, Rachel, and I have been married for 15 years. We met through mutual friends, and from the moment we started dating, it seemed like we were meant to be together. Lately, however, things have felt different. Rachel has been distant, often distracted and lost in thought. She started going out more frequently, claiming she had to meet up with friends or attend late-night work meetings. It was a gradual change, but it became more pronounced over the past few months. One evening, while I was working late on a project, I received a text from Rachel saying she'd be home late because she was meeting her old friend Jenny for dinner. I didn't think much of it at first, but something in my gut told me that things weren't adding up. My best friend, David Anderson, had been my confidant since college. He was also a software developer, and we often collaborated on projects together. David was always the rational one, and I trusted his judgment implicitly. Mike, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but have you tried talking to Rachel about how you're feeling? David asked me one night over a couple of beers at a local pub. I have, I replied, frustration evident in my voice. But she always brushes it off, saying I'm overthinking things. I just don't know what to do. David nodded thoughtfully. Look, man, if you really think something's off, maybe you should look into it, just to ease your mind. His suggestion lingered in my mind for days. I hated the idea of spying on Rachel, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong. After much contemplation, I decided to hire a private investigator. I found a reputable one named Karen Lewis, who came highly recommended. During our initial meeting, she assured me that she'd be discreet and thorough in her investigation. Michael, I'll find out what's going on, she said confidently. You deserve to know the truth. The days that followed were some of the most stressful of my life. Every time Rachel went out, I wondered if Karen was tailing her and what she might discover. I tried to keep busy with work, but my mind was constantly racing. A week later, Karen called me. Michael, I have some information for you. Can we meet in person? My heart pounded as I agreed to meet her at a cafe near my office. When I arrived, Karen was already there, a folder in front of her. She greeted me with a somber expression. Michael, I've been following Rachel for the past week, she began, and I'm afraid your suspicions were correct. She opened the folder and handed me a series of photographs. Rachel was with another man, in various locations, a restaurant, a park, outside a hotel. The images told a story of a relationship that went beyond mere friendship. I felt a wave of nausea. Who is he? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. His name is Adam Walker, Karen said. He's a coworker of Rachel's. They've been seeing each other for several months now. I stared at the photos, trying to make sense of it all. Rachel had mentioned Adam a few times, always in the context of work. How could I have been so blind? That night, I waited for Rachel to come home. My anger simmered just below the surface, but I knew I had to stay calm. When she finally walked through the door, I could see the surprise on her face. Michael, what are you doing up? She asked, trying to sound casual. We need to talk, I said, my voice steady but cold. She looked puzzled but sat down on the couch. What about? I handed her the folder with the photos. About this. Rachel's face went pale as she looked through the images. She didn't say a word, just stared at them with a mixture of shock and guilt. How long? I demanded. How long have you been seeing him? Tears welled up in her eyes. A few months, she admitted. Michael, I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. Well, you did, I snapped. Why, Rachel? Why would you do this to us? She took a deep breath, her voice shaking. I don't know. I felt disconnected from you. We haven't been the same for a while, and Adam was there. He made me feel appreciated. Her words stung, but I couldn't let her see how much it hurt. So you decided to throw away 15 years of marriage for some affair? It wasn't just an affair, she said softly. I have feelings for him. The room fell silent as I processed her words. The woman I thought I knew so well had betrayed me in the worst possible way. Dear viewers, more than 90% watch my content without subscribing. If you still have not subscribed, then I ask you to do so. For me, this is the best motivation to continue. The next few days were a blur. Rachel stayed with her sister while I tried to sort through my emotions. I confided in David again, telling him everything that had happened. "Man, I'm so sorry," David said, shaking his head. "I can't believe she did this." "I don't know what to do," I admitted. "Part of me wants to try and work things out, but another part of me just wants to move on." David looked at me with a serious expression. "You need to take care of yourself first, Mike. If that means ending things with Rachel, then so be it. You deserve to be happy." His words resonated with me. I knew I couldn't continue living like this, with the constant pain and betrayal hanging over me. I had to make a decision, and I had to do it for myself. A few days later, Rachel came back to the house to talk. We sat in the living room, the tension between us palpable. "Michael, I know I've hurt you deeply," she began. "And I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want to try to make things right. I want to go to counseling, work on our marriage. Please, give us another chance." I looked at her, the woman I had once loved more than anything in the world. The pain in her eyes was real, but so was mine. "I can't do it, Rachel," I said quietly. "I can't move past this. I think the best thing for both of us is to end this now." Tears streamed down her face, but she nodded, accepting my decision. "I understand," she whispered. "I'm so sorry, Michael." The divorce process was painful and messy, as they often are. Friends and family were shocked, offering their support and condolences. David was there for me every step of the way, helping me navigate the emotional roller coaster. In the end, I kept the house, and Rachel moved in with her sister until she could find a place of her own. The paperwork was finalized, and just like that, 15 years of marriage were over. It wasn't the ending I had hoped for, but it was the reality I had to accept. Life doesn't always go the way we plan, and sometimes the people we trust the most can let us down. But through it all, I learned the importance of resilience and the strength to move forward, even when it feels impossible. As for Rachel, I don't know what the future holds for her. Our paths have diverged, and I have to focus on rebuilding my life, one step at a time. The pain of betrayal will fade, and one day, I hope to find happiness again. Months passed, and life gradually started to regain a sense of normalcy. I threw myself into my work, taking on new projects and responsibilities to keep my mind occupied. I also reconnected with old friends and started new hobbies, finding solace in the simple pleasures of life. David remained a constant presence, always ready with a word of encouragement or a listening ear. He and his wife, Emily, were my anchors, reminding me that not all relationships end in betrayal. One evening, as I was sorting through some old photographs, I came across a picture of Rachel and me on our wedding day. We looked so happy, so full of hope for the future. It was hard to reconcile those smiling faces with the pain and heartache that followed. I decided to put the photos away, not out of anger or regret, but because it was time to let go of the past. Holding on to the hurt would only prevent me from moving forward and finding peace. As the 1-year mark of our divorce approached, I found myself reflecting on everything that had happened. The pain was still there, but it had dulled to a manageable ache. I realized that I had grown stronger through the ordeal, more resilient and self-aware. One Saturday, David and I were sitting in the backyard, enjoying a barbecue. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the city. "You know," David said, taking a sip of his beer, "you've come a long way, Michael. I'm proud of you." I smiled, feeling a sense of pride in myself as well. "Thanks, David. I couldn't have done it without you." "That's what friends are for," he replied with a grin. As I looked around at the people who had stood by me through the darkest times, I felt a renewed sense of hope. Life hadn't turned out the way I expected, but I was still standing, still fighting for my happiness. And in that moment, I knew that no matter what the future held, I would be okay. I had the strength to face whatever came my way, and the support of true friends to help me through it. Dear viewers, I ask you to subscribe to the channel under this video. I will be very grateful to you. As the seasons changed, so did my outlook on life. I realized that the end of my marriage wasn't just a loss, but also an opportunity for a fresh start. I decided to take a trip to clear my mind and gain perspective. I booked a solo trip to the Pacific Northwest, a place I'd always wanted to visit. The rugged coastline, lush forests, and towering mountains offered a sense of peace and tranquility that I desperately needed. During my trip, I spent time hiking, exploring small towns, and simply enjoying my own company. It was a chance to reflect on my life and what I wanted for the future. I realized that I was capable of more than I had ever imagined, and that my happiness didn't depend on someone else. When I returned to Austin, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I decided to make some changes in my life, starting with my career. I had always dreamed of starting my own tech company, and I finally felt ready to take the leap. With David's encouragement, I began laying the groundwork for my new venture. It was a daunting task, but I was excited by the challenge and the possibilities it offered. For the first time in a long while, I felt truly alive. As my business began to take shape, I also made an effort to reconnect with old friends and make new ones. I joined a local hiking group and started volunteering at a community center, finding joy in giving back and being part of something bigger than myself. Life was far from perfect, but it was good. I had found a sense of balance and fulfillment that I hadn't felt in years. The pain of the past still lingered, but it no longer defined me. I had learned to embrace the uncertainty and to find strength in the face of adversity. One evening, as I was wrapping up a meeting with a potential investor for my new company, I received a message from David. "Hey, let's grab dinner tonight. Emily and I have someone we want you to meet." Curious and a bit apprehensive, I agreed. When I arrived at the restaurant, David and Emily were there with a woman named Laura. She was kind, intelligent, and had a warm smile that immediately put me at ease. As the evening went on, I found myself genuinely enjoying her company. We talked about everything from our favorite books to our love for the outdoors. It was refreshing to connect with someone on such a deep level. Over the next few months, Laura and I grew closer. She had also been through a difficult breakup, and we found comfort in sharing our experiences and supporting each other. It wasn't always easy, but we were both committed to healing and moving forward. David and Emily were thrilled to see me happy again, and their support meant the world to me. I realized that true friendship is a rare and precious gift, one that had helped me through the darkest times. Laura and I took things slow, building our relationship on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. We spent our weekends exploring new hiking trails, cooking together, and simply enjoying each other's company. It was a new beginning, one filled with hope and possibility. As time went on, I found myself thinking less about the past and more about the future. My new company was thriving, and I felt a sense of accomplishment and pride in what I had built. I had also found a loving and supportive partner in Laura, someone who understood and accepted me for who I was. One evening, as Laura and I were sitting on the porch, watching the sun set over the hills, she turned to me and said, "Michael, I'm so grateful to have you in my life. You've brought so much joy and love into my world." Her words touched me deeply. "I feel the same way, Laura. You mean the world to me." We sat there in comfortable silence, feeling the warmth of each other's presence. In that moment, I knew that I had finally found the peace and happiness I had been searching for. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, and sometimes the people we love the most can hurt us in ways we never imagined. But even in the face of betrayal, it's possible to find strength and resilience within ourselves. As I move forward, I carry the lessons I've learned with me, knowing that I'm capable of overcoming any challenge. The pain of the past will always be a part of me, but it doesn't define me. What defines me is my ability to rise above it and build a new future. And so, with a hopeful heart and a determined spirit, I embrace the journey ahead, ready to create a life filled with joy, love, and new beginnings.